Yeah, I'm in my own lane. 4-3 reppin', yeah, my gon' bang. It's talking shit, but they ain't speaking on my name. I'ma make this money, I'm about to free the gang, yeah. On my 3 on the back, these call me Stephen Curry. Gotta make this money, gotta make it in a hurry. Do it for the gang, so my don't have to worry, yeah.
So jerseys to crowns, it's a concept that we all kind of came up with, and I think it has a lot of meaning, kind of for like not just athletes, but I think it hits close to home with me because athletics was a big part of my life, right? So it's like I always say, you can see it on like my Instagram posts, like when I talk to parents. The sport is just a platform, right? And that's what we're trying to instill in our kids in our program. That's just a platform to get certain habits, certain ways of thinking, certain like building the routine.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the idea of jerseys to crowns, it's knowing that like the adversity that you deal with as an athlete, it's like little bank deposits of money in a piggy bank. Like, oh, I dealt with this, I'm gonna be able to deal with it later on. Oh, I dealt with this, I'm gonna be able to deal with it or more later on. And it's just preparing yourself for what's after. Like being an athlete is like a glimpse, it's like a speed bump in your life. It's a short time. Like you can say you're an athlete for life, but your actual period that you're like high level and you're on the stage that you want to be on. Because when you're young, you're trying to make like that club team or that high school team that you really want to be on. And that's in preparation to make a university or a college team. And then that's in preparation for trying to play pro. And then that's in preparation for entering the workforce where you can take those competitive nature, that dealing with adversity, that leadership, those leadership qualities, all that stuff, and then keep it moving forward.
Yeah, like all those lessons translate to for the rest of your life, and it gives you the skills that you need in order to succeed at any level, any facet of life. Like,
Oh yeah, and
if you're competitive, you're gonna get business deals. If you're
and we're all biased, but
yeah,
I think sports is the best platform. Like my favorite phrase I tell parents, and it kind of like blows them away, even young kids. I'm like, listen, like I played professional football and I was retired at 27, right? And that's like, how much more life do I have to live?
How many guys do you know that are still playing college at that age?
Exactly,
In
right?
Canada, there's a lot.
So what if I was just like, all that matters is football. Like I don't care about what coaches say. I don't care about showing up on time. I don't care about training. I don't care about. All I care about is football. And I'm retired at 27. Then what do I do?
football's done.
Yeah, like I have like 50 years of life with like nothing. So it's like, so think about a kid that maybe is done at 21 with no life skills, right? Like that's even less, right? So
well, and like it's sad, but we see that so often where a kid, you know, after high school, it's, you know, they're done unless they're going to play men's league or they're going to play with their friends regularly. Like every Sunday morning we go and we play. Like that's awesome if you still love the sport, you can still compete at any level. But we see so many kids that at like 16, 17, 18, 19, they wash out for whatever reason. You know, they don't want to show up at practice, they don't want to eat right, they get injured, they start a job or they have a girlfriend, and then they just like are like empty shells.
Yeah, and Avery, like you could probably, like you're a bit younger than us, you kind of came up in like the club mentality, high school mentality, like where let's say the business of amateur sports was a lot bigger than when we were younger. So you can kind of see how like, you know, a lot of kids are, I'm not saying like they were misled, but how the focus wasn't on the right things.
Yeah, like I think being an athlete now and growing up, like being in like this era of athletics, you know, the biggest thing about jerseys or crowns is that if you're doing sports right, you're gonna learn the lessons. Even if you're doing them wrong, you're gonna learn lessons. But like realistically, sports can cripple you, and sports can, you know, build you to succeed.
Yeah, it can be a springboard to success.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like we talk about this quite often. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with club sports. I don't think there's anything wrong with high school, and I don't think there's anything wrong with trainers. They all have their role to play in helping. I think that, but where it's gone wrong is that the coddling mentality of, you know, good intentions lead to bad outcomes without the ability to correct. It's like, you know, as humans, we're just so tribal in nature, and we think that, you know, what I'm doing is the best for this kid, and we're not really empathetic to, you know, the hardships that come along with those things. So we can try to help people as much as possible, but they need to be able to be responsible for themselves, and they need to have their own routine, and they need to do well. Because if not, the coddling, just the enabling, all those things, it stunts growth.
Yeah, and growth is like one of the most important things about being an athlete is you're always working towards, another goal, another, PR, another 20-point game, whatever it may be. And like if you don't have that mentality and you're complacent in sport, we can see that, right? Like you can see people that do get coddled, like you say, like they learn the lessons the hard way, but it prepares them because they know that now I got to grow.
And they learn it the hard way without having the support in place. Like
They kind of learn on the back end.
They learn on the
like
back
once
end.
once all the support is gone, then they're learning it. When it should be, like I say, the platform, you should be learning it at that point. Well, that platform is still there.
Yeah, and what's crazy in like amateur youth sports is that the support for young athletes is there, and it's more than enough. However, there's always a flood of people trying to improve it and create more support, whereas university and beyond, there aren't tons of adults going to university and like, oh, I want to support these kids because I think they need this.
Yeah.
So what happens is, in those high school, junior high, high school ages, there's so many people holding up these athletes, and they're eliminating adversity from their life, eliminating accountability, and then once they're 18, it's all gone.
They're like,
And
okay,
all
they made it.
Life's gonna keep moving.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like if they don't figure it out then.
Yeah.
Well, because the biggest thing is, I think a mindset that kind of needs to change. The end of high school, or like the U17 kind of barrier, is considered the finish line, when that should be considered the starting point. I think all these kids are supported, propped up, you're the best. You don't have to do this because you have this, you don't have to. And then as soon as they get to like that kind of post-secondary level, the floor drops from underneath them. And everybody's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I got you to this level, like you should be good to go. When it's like, that's step one. Whereas like before that, and don't get me wrong, like no one ever had to like motivate me to train. I love sports, like I would do it for free my whole life. I rode the bus till the wheels fell off. Like every day I was focused on being a better athlete. But high school was kind of like, fun, figuring out what you like, hanging out with your friends, learning how to be like on a team, not wanting to be bored.
People are in high school, people are giving you the opportunities, people are helping you do that.
Oh,
like you were saying, there's so many resources that you have in high school, but then like I think what you're gonna say is that when you get to university, like I'm in university now, if I don't train and I just become a bum, like my coach is just gonna leave me. My coach isn't gonna be like,
you won't get on the court.
Please do work. It's on me.
Next
It's on me now.
Like he's talking to a recruit right now for next year, probably, right?
100%. Like it's the lessons that you take from high school. If you don't translate them and do them on your own with the resources like in high school that you were given, like the coaches that if they instill good values in you, then afterwards you're gonna do that in university. You're gonna learn. You're gonna hoop. You're gonna continue to do that, but after life, it's the same thing. It just keeps getting harder, right?
It keeps getting hard, and
it's learning those how to deal with adversity, how to deal with how to maintain a routine, learning all those things with support, knowing that one day you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet and you're going to have to do it yourself. And not only are you going to have to stand on your own 2 feet, but you might have to support others who aren't quite there yet. Like as a leader on a basketball team, if you have a young guy, a rookie, or even a second-year guy that's not quite doing the right things, you have to be able to be a leader enough to say, hey, I see what you're doing, I see the red flags, and in order for us as a collective to do well, you need to get in the weight room, or you need to put up more shots, or you need to stop going to the bar every night.
I think like also like it really does just come down to the individual. It's like as much as a team sport, like if they don't flip that switch,
100%,
right? Like I can say, hey, like take care of yourself, like get in the gym, you're gonna play more, whatever. Like you were saying, like as a collective, if you're not on the same page, you don't have the same mentality, like one individual can ruin the entire.
Well, the best programs, and this is why I love the idea of Jersey's Crown. The best programs there are out there, everyone is individually working to a collective idea, and those that aren't get isolated.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing on a team and everyone's working out, everyone's putting up their shots, everyone's hydrating, everyone's doing what they need to be doing, that person that isn't becomes an outcast.
100%.
But if you have a program where it's 50-50 split, where you have, you know, some that are committed, some that aren't, then there's enough of a voice that those people that aren't doing the right things have someone else to say, yeah, you're right, you know, like, let's just chill. Like, and that's when those programs, they don't do well. And regardless of how good your coach is, and regardless of how good your recruiting is, you're still gonna fall short. It's up to the team to police the locker room. It's up to the athletes to police the locker room to kind of create that culture. And when you do create that culture and everyone surrenders to it, those are the people that are gonna do well in life.
Yeah, 100%. And if you buy in, right? Like no matter what you're doing, you're gonna have to buy in. And like the lessons of being on a team translate to the workforce, or for you guys are business partners. Like, you know, you bought into what you guys are doing no matter what. And like,
oh yeah.
And like from my view of like kind of where like this, I know there's like a lot of very, very good people in amateur sports, but I'm saying maybe as a whole, even in society, like we're almost like robbing kids of their growth. We're not allowing them to go from their jersey to their crown, right? Because like we're giving them the jersey and then we're not allowing it to like manifest, right? Because everything is just kind of being taken care of. It's being sugar coated. It's being
There's just so much opportunity.
Yeah, and it's just like they said they almost don't appreciate it. We're not allowing like the growth process, right? And I'm not saying don't have high goals. Like if your goal isn't to be the best, go to the NBA, all this stuff, that's fine. But you got to remember like there's a lot in between that, right? And even if you fall short, that's fine, right? But it's the big picture mentality always has to be in focus, right? Like we have our day to day, we have our small goals, but the big picture mentality has to be there. And I think as leaders, because we have the foresight, we should be able to see it, right? Like I'm gonna push these kids to get scholarships, to win this tournament, to, hey, we gotta hold this team to that many points. But like we as coaches, as leaders, and you're getting a little older in the community, you're becoming a leader, we gotta have the foresight for these kids to be like, okay, you know what? You were late for practice, you're benched for this game because it's not about this game. It's about, maybe I bench you for this game, and that's what clicks in this kid's head.
The habits you're
right?
building.
And then that kid is gonna be like, oh man, like, you know what? Wow, this is the first time I've ever been benched in my life. I'm gonna be on time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, there's a huge difference between just like, you know, trying to put together the best team or the best collective to, you know, have this short-term outcome. There's like so much more to it, right? Like it's about like being the gatekeeper to the culture of whatever it is. Like we're the gatekeepers to the culture of this building, like our program, right? Like if you have to be the gatekeeper to the culture within your program.
Yeah.
And without that leadership and those gatekeepers, then it just becomes like this free-for-all without direction.
Yeah, like if we're gonna go like come full circle, like you said, you know, sports is gonna end, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like if you know,
like a Hall of Fame career, you retire at 30, 31.
like,
and you're in the Hall of Fame. That's like a 10-year, you broke records, you got rings.
Yeah, there's 70 more years of your life right there.
Yeah, man, like.
And that's like, that's what Jerseys to Crowns is like preparing you for, you know, your sport, but it's also for, you know, beyond.
Oh yeah.
Because it's all gonna end.
Well, and it could end any moment. Like that's the thing. Like, how many athletes do we know that have had injuries? How many athletes do we know that have had, you know, oh, I had a medical to play for this team, and they found out that I have an enlarged heart. I can't play anymore.
100%.
Like that stuff happens.
Like tragedies in your family, like mental health stuff. Like nothing's guaranteed, right? So it's like for you to just be in this like one track mindset, like. It's just not sustainable, right? And we're seeing it as a society, it's not sustainable because I don't think we've ever been weaker, like, I don't want to say weaker, but let's say more vulnerable as a society than we are now. As entitled, and it shouldn't be because we've never had more access to information, to resources, to help, finances, but in some way or another, we're getting like more and more vulnerable mentally, physically, like, so there's some disconnect, right?
Yeah, and in athletics is, you know, for me, it's the catch-all. Yeah. Athletics is like what's kept me on track when I've kind of veered off. Athletics has kind of kept me motivated. It's been the way when I got out of the Army.
Like therapy.
It's like a therapy. It's when I got out of the Army, it was how I reconnected with the, you know, civilian populace. It's how I like found common ground with people. It's really been, you know, it's been a huge part of my life every step, every day forever.
Yeah. Well, I think like something like I've struggled with too is like, you know, I've been injured, you know, I've been out of the game, and it's like, as much as I am an athlete, I'm a hooper, like I love everything, that's my identity, that's like how people see me, they'll be like, yeah, he was, you know, playing basketball, whatever. Like at the end of the day, when I was injured, you know, those people still look at me and they're like, oh, you're an athlete, but realistically, I don't have basketball, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not playing basketball, I'm not doing that. So it's like I have to be my own person and like develop an identity without sport, or else like I'm just gonna be like,
well, you'll feel hollow.
Yeah, 100%.
Feel hollow. You feel like you're missing a piece. That's how success is a really hard thing in life. Purpose is a really hard thing in life because it's not something physical that you can hold on to. It's like something that you have to find the meaning in for yourself, because if you're always striving for something specifically that you can't hold on to, you're never going to be fulfilled. Like it's just never going to happen. Whereas like athletics, if you master the routine and you find you become comfortable being uncomfortable, all those things that you will feel like you have purpose in your life and you're fulfilled and you're happy and all those things. And it doesn't have to do with, I'm happy because I'm the starter on this team and I'm averaging 25 points a game. That's just like a piece of your life.
Yeah, and I think like for me, that's the biggest thing in jerseys or crowns. That's what it means to me, is that, you know, growing on yourself, you know, and that it doesn't matter, you know, for that happiness, like for me, for happiness, I know that I got to work towards that end goal. And like in life, it's going to be something else every day, right? But like that lesson is, you know, just in a small picture of like, you know, practice, routine, whatever it may be, you know, like you're always improving. And that's what, for me, sports and life, like I need that happiness of improving, or else I'm going to be hollow. Like if I'm just sitting on my ass every day, like that's when I'm like, oh fuck, like I'm sad, you know?
No, and it's easy. Like I'm long been retired as an athlete. Like I'm no longer an athlete, but I still have the athletic mentality. And the other thing is that I'm at the stage in my life where I'm trying to pass on those learnings to my children. I want my son to grow up that way, and I want him to be, you know, fulfilled, and I want him to be competitive, and I want him to really like. And then my daughter as well. And my daughter's going to be my bully. She's going to be my athlete. She's going to be my killer, right? And I want to instill those same things. Like I want her to feel safe when she walks around the streets at night when she's 19, because she has confidence. And that's being an athlete, and those like what we're talking about, those values and those leaderships and all those things that you're taking on. It honestly like progresses way past athletics.
Yeah, like you'd say me and we're living off like the residual of like those investments, right? Like getting up at 6 a.m., right? Like you know, running, like all your friends like go out the night before, you go out with them, but you got to get up and go to practice, right? Like academically, man, I wasn't the best student, man, putting in like 30 hours in the library, right? Like all those things, it's like, it's residual now. So now when I'm an adult, yes, it's different challenges, it's finances, it's family, it's like building a future for your kids, all that stuff. But there's little things that like, it's just hardwired into me, and I'm happy, like, and now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, like I'm happy I don't have to learn this at my age. It's already in there, right? So like, it's like so it just carries you, and it's almost like your baseline autopilot is just allowing you to like attack your goals, and you're not worrying about like
your floor.
Your floor, exactly, right? Whereas like, and I'm not trying to like knock anyone. Like I have my weaknesses, you have your weaknesses.
If you're not an athlete, you suck.
No, absolutely.
But there's even like in our business, we mentor, right? And like I've had clients come to me and like they're struggling with like the basics, and that's fine, right? And I'm gonna help them the best I can, but just kind of like, I can go home and look in the mirror and be like, man, like thank God that I'm not struggling with like basic stuff that's holding me back from the big picture, because I had those daily investments from like 16, 17, 18, like just building, right? So same thing with you, you're on the journey, man, you're on the right path, all that stuff, right? And like I said, you reap the residual in your adult life. Right?
And I can't wait. Like I think just talking about this, I think it's gonna hopefully kind of click for a few people. It might not click today, tomorrow, you know, might not click for a few years, but just hearing that concept now, like people will like, they'll just be a little bit more open to the idea of that they're putting little couple cents, couple dollars in the piggy bank, and that is going to give you that residual later on in life. It's just an investment. Yeah, so yeah, as we're moving forward, every episode of Jerseys to Crowns, we're going to be talking about different, different concepts, different goals, different growth, different stories. Like we're going to bring on a lot of really good guests, and we're going to just kind of add value, and we really just want to kind of get the conversation rolling and get it pushed out to to athletes to know that it's not about today, it's not about a finish line at grade 12, it's not about I have to average this much at university, I have to go to the best university possible. It's about finding the happiness within the pursuit, the happiness within the routine for your life.
Oh yeah, and just keep it light, right?
Yeah. Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, that's the episode. Thanks for watching, and remember, follow us on all our social medias for more stuff coming up.
Yeah, I'm in my own lane. 4-3 reppin', yeah, my gon' bang. It's talking shit, but they ain't speaking on my name. I'ma make this money, I'm about to free the gang, yeah. On my 3 on the back, these call me Stephen Curry. Gotta make this money, gotta make it in a hurry. Do it for the game, so my don't have to worry, yeah.